Good morning everyone and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter Human Resources in Geography and we are doing under this chapter density of population, as we have seen in the previous class that what do we mean by density? Density is the number of people living in a unit area of the earth's surface, and we have seen the average density of population in the whole world is 51 persons per square kilometer. Okay, and here we see that the distribution of population is not equal, is not even in the whole world, and that is the reason we find that this there are some places which are very much crowded, where density of population is very high, whereas there are certain places where the population is very sparsely concentrated, बहुत ही कम जहाँ पर population है, तो that places are those places where the density of population is very low. And if you see, like we have seen that the world average of density is 51% per square kilometer, and in case of India it is 382 persons per square kilometer. So you can just understand how the world average is 51 and the average of India, the whole India, is 382. So in the similar way, there are places where you will find that there is a density of population which is higher than the average density of the population. There are some places where the density of population is lower than the average world population. So now we come to the next topic, and the topic is why this difference in density is there, why the distribution of population is not equal in the world, why there are some places where we find very high density of population, why there are some places where we find very low density of population. So there are some factors which are responsible for this, and the most important factor is the geographical factor. So factors responsible for uneven distribution of population. Factors responsible for uneven distribution of population. The first factor is geographical. Geographical factors cover those factors which are there in our surroundings, है ना, हमारे चारों तरफ जो एनवायरनमेंट होता है उसके जो फैक्टर्स होते हैं, दे आर नोन एज जियोग्राफिकल फैक्टर, है ना. And the most important geographical factor is climate. The first is climate. So what we have discussed it earlier also, that the places where the climate is suitable, neither too hot nor too cold, at those places we find the density of population is very high, whereas the places where extreme hot conditions or extreme cold conditions are existing, at those places are having very less density of population, है ना. So this is one of the most important reason. Like in polar regions we find a very very thin population lives there. The density of population is very low in the polar regions. Likewise, in desert places also the density of population is very low. So this is one of the most important geographical factor. Other than climate, the second we can say the most important factor, geographical factor, is the second is topography. So what do we mean by topography? Topography का मतलब क्या हुआ? Surface of the land area. जो land है उसका surface कैसा है, terrain कैसा है, that is a very important factor. Important factor for distribution of population. Like people prefer to live on those places where the topography is flat, like plains. In the plains, the density of population is very high, whereas in the mountainous region, we find the density is very low because the topography is not suitable. And when the topography is not suitable, then what happens that such places where the topography is not flat, it is mountainous or plateau region, then at those places we find that the land is not suitable for farming, the land is not suitable for setting up of industries and factories, the land is not suitable for construction of roads. So all these are responsible for this uneven distribution of population because of topography. And we find at in the world, the distribution of population is such that the plains are most densely populated areas of the world. Like in our country, the northern plains जो हिमालय के नीचे वाला पोर्शन है, ऊपर नॉर्थ में हिमालय से नीचे जैसे हम आते, जो हमारा एरिया है, दैट इज नोन एज नॉर्दर्न प्लेन. This plain is formed by the interplay of 3 rivers, गंगा, यमुना एंड ब्रह्मपुत्र. ठीक है, तो ये प्लेन है, फ्लैट है. सो वी आर लिविंग इन दिस यूपी, बनारस, वाराणसी, यूपी, that is a part of that northern plain. So we find that these places are densely populated because of the topography. Other than topography, there are other reasons also, but topography is one of the most important reasons because of which we find that these plains are densely populated areas of the world. And on the other hand, we find that the mountainous regions are sparsely populated regions, like Alps which is in Europe, Himalayas which is in India, Andes which is in South America. These mountainous regions are sparsely populated. The density of population is very low because the topography is not suitable. And then we come to the third geographical factor, and that is soil. Soil is also a very important factor for distribution of population, because we see that if the land is fertile, then what happens that so many people live at that place, because the land is suitable for the purpose of agriculture. So if the land is suitable for agriculture, then there will be abundance of food, abundance of job opportunities and all. So people prefer to live in those areas which have fertile soil, like northern plain, about which we were just discussing. This northern plain is also having a very fertile soil. उसकी जो soil होती है बहुत ही fertile है नॉर्दर्न प्लेन की, and this soil is very much suitable for agriculture. So here we find densely populated areas. Likewise in Egypt, Nile is such a river where we find that the on the bank of Nile and the plains which is formed by the river Nile, these are highly populated areas. In China also there is these two rivers are there, Huanghe and Chuangjiang. These two rivers also provide fertile soil, and this fertile soil is responsible for a high density of population in those particular areas. Okay, and now we see the fourth geographical factor. This is water. Water is also vital for human being. We cannot survive without water, and that is the reason we find that so many cities are situated on the bank of rivers, and this is not something which is associated with modern period. In fact, when we see the starting of the civilization, we find that all the civilization started on the bank of river also. The early humans started to live near the river only because river provided them with water, which is very much essential for life. Okay, so nowadays also this is also one of the most important factor where we find that people prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is available. Fresh water. There is difference between fresh water and sea water. Fresh water जो होता है वो river के water, lake के water, these are fresh waters, and sea water is salty, that cannot be used for the purpose of drinking, है ना? So people prefer to live in the areas where fresh water is available. And this is the reason also that we find that the deserts have a spare population because of the non-availability of water there. And then we have the fifth point also, fifth geographical factor also, and that is this mineral. So what do we mean by minerals? Minerals, you have read the complete chapter about the minerals. So mineral deposits वाले जो areas होते हैं वहाँ पर भी population की density बढ़ जाती है, because minerals, if the minerals are available, then there will be economic activity, and this economic activity is responsible for increase in the density of the population. And like we see in South Africa, diamond mines are very much responsible for high density of population there. Likewise in the Middle East countries, Middle East कौन सा हुआ, जो अगर पूरे वर्ल्ड में आपको हम देखें तो जो बीच बीच में पड़ता है, दैट इज मिडिल ईस्ट. इंडिया है, ठीक है, इंडिया के वेस्ट में पाकिस्तान है, पाकिस्तान के वेस्ट में ऊपर की तरफ अफगानिस्तान, नीचे ईरान. अब जैसे इससे हम जब आगे बढ़ेंगे और ईस्ट में और वेस्ट में जाएंगे तो जो पोर्शन उसके बाद है कुवैत, इराक, ईरान, सऊदी अरेबिया, ये सारे जो है ना ये मिडिल ईस्ट कहलाते हैं. और मिडिल ईस्ट की जो कंट्रीज़ हैं इनकी एक सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट जो वी कैन से द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट फीचर ऑफ मिडिल ईस्ट कंट्रीज इज़ अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ ऑयल. वहाँ पर ऑयल रिसोर्सेज बहुत ज़्यादा अवेलेबल है, एंड दैट इज़ द रीज़न द पॉपुलेशन इज़ ऑल्सो dense at those places where oil is found. Okay, so these are the important geographical factors: climate, topography, soil, water and minerals. Okay, and now we will switch to another factor. The other factor is social factor, cultural factor and economic factor. So after doing this geographical factor, we will do social factor. social factor. So social factor, 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 social factor So we find that those areas which have better housing facilities, those areas which have better education and health facilities, these areas are more densely populated. Like we can say that people move from rural areas to urban areas. Why? Because they find that the services which is being provided in the urban areas are far better than the services which are present there in the rural areas. So people prefer to live in those areas where facilities are available, all kind of facilities, health, education, housing, and all. So this is one of the most important reason factor for uneven distribution of population. Likewise, we find that people start moving from less developed places to more developed places, because the more developed places provide them more facilities. So that is the social factor. And then we will see some uh, cultural and religious factors. What are the cultural and religious factors responsible for uneven distribution of population? So places with religion or cultural significance are densely populated regions, है ना, जहाँ ऐसे places जिनका religion के purpose से या culture के purpose से बहुत ज़्यादा importance है, तो वहाँ पर population बढ़ जाती है. Like our own city Varanasi, which has this religious significance, cultural significance. So people attracts towards this city, and that is the reason the density of the population is very high. Likewise, this Jerusalem, which is a religious place for not only for Jews but also for Christians and Islam. So there also we find very high density of population. Then Vatican City, which is a religious city, which is the smallest country in the world. So where the Pope rules. Pope कौन होते हैं? Pope सबसे बड़ा जो होता है चर्च में, the most important religious guru, religious leader of Christianity is known as Pope. और जो वैटिकन सिटी का पोप है वही सबसे बड़ा होता है. तो इस कारण से वैटिकन सिटी का भी पॉपुलेशन की डेंसिटी जो है वो ज़्यादा होती है. ठीक है. देन वी कम टू द नेक्स्ट फैक्टर, दैट इज इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर. So what are the economic factors which are responsible for uneven distribution of population? We see that the places where industries are established, where factories are established, these places provide employment opportunities to people, and because of this availability of employment opportunities, people prefer to go to these places. है ना? Large number of people are attracted to these areas because they think that they will get some job there, and that is the most important reason. Like in Japan, Osaka is such a place where people are attracted because of availability of job opportunities there. In India, Mumbai is such a city where people from all over the country wants to be there because they know that they will be able to earn something in Mumbai, whereas in if they stay in their own city, they will not be able to earn anything. So these are the economic factors. So this is all for today. We have done the factors responsible for this uneven distribution of population. And now in the next class we will do population change.